So one of the things Minnesota Fighting Vikings fans just assume about general manager Rick Spielman at this point is that he's lying to them, right? So he's lying to us. Don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. Like Rick would be a great politician because he can filibuster with the best of them. He could talk for hours with saying absolutely nothing. And the whole we're not trading Percy Harvin at this time. We fully anticipate Stephon Diggs to be a Viking. Blah 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 blah. When he's not lying, he is putting a spin on things. But I actually weirdly respect it, and it's sort of a fun game of cat and mouse. So now we're going to try and translate his pretty lengthy press conference that he had with the media jackals on Thursday after the Yannick the Freak Ngakoue trade to Baltimore. So when asked about the trade, Spielman said this, quote, "These are always very difficult decisions. Part of my responsibility overseeing the football operation is to not only look at the short-term goals, but the long-term goals as well. This is an opportunity that I felt would accomplish both the short and long term as we move forward, but these decisions aren't easy to make." And I sort of believe him on this one, where Yannick obviously has talent, had 5 sacks and 14 pressures, leading the Vikings in sacks, was tied for 4th in the league, was absolutely a stud. But then, could the Vikings franchise tag him next offseason or sign him long-term? Could they do that with freshening up the Danielle Hunter deal? Spielman completely ignored the Danielle thing, by the way, but it's whatever. And I understand basically what it was. Well, we lost Danielle. We weren't giving up on the season. We traded for Yannick. It didn't work out. Well, not on him at all, but the season didn't work out. Yannick was great, but we were able to recoup, 85% of the trade capital that we gave up to go get him. So just take what you get, right? So just making lemonade out of lemons. I sort of understand that one. Plus, he was asked if he consulted ownership before pulling the trigger on the big Yannick trade, and he said he gave a non-answer. Like, I'm in constant communication with our ownership on an almost daily basis. So basically, it's like, hey, did you go free agent? Did you go rogue? Did you go 2010 Brad Childress cutting Randy Moss after a month and giving up a 3rd-round pick? Did you do that? And then they asked him about Kirk Cousins' contract extension if he regretted it. So he did mention that, it freed up cap for signing Michael Pierce, which is just working out great, as well as extending Dalvin Cook, who's dinged up now. So, man. And then also, he put in this one about people not losing faith in Kirk Cousins. Quote, you just kind of have to go back and look at the big picture. But I don't think anyone has lost any faith in Kirk Cousins. I expect him to come back after the bye week and play well for us, end quote. Well, of course, you can't lose what you never had. And obviously, Rick Spielman is not going to show his cards. He's not going to admit that he made a mistake here, because that would be a massive franchise-destroying demerit on his record of, hey, we signed this guy up essentially for 5 years. So for half a decade, Kirk Cousins financially keeping this team hostage because he is not that quarterback that's going to take the next step. He's not going to suddenly learn pocket awareness or just get rid of bad Kirk, even though it is Kirktoberfest. It's canceled this year due to COVID-19 concerns. So I get that he's going to try and spin and stand up for his guy, because he is the guy who pulled the trigger and gave him basically all the money in the world. Great. So this one stands out. When asked if it was time for a rebuild, he said this, quote, "I look at some of the things that we have done. We got 2 pretty good receivers. Justin Jefferson, cool. We got a pretty talented tight end situation. You're seeing Irv Smith and some of the playmaking ability he has. Hey, Irv Smith, that 2nd-round pick that I made? Yeah, I'm making this cinch here. When you have probably, if not the best, one of the top running backs in the league. What a special playmaker he is. So I don't know if you call it a rebuild or not, but you always know what you have, and we want to win as many games as we can, and that's going to be our objective for the year. But also, when you have the opportunity to continue to add, with the 15 picks, Rick always gets his picks. You're seeing some of them actually play right now because of some of the injuries and situations that we have. To lose 3 linebackers, 2 of them before the season starts, blah, 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 get in Cam Smith. So you're scrambling a little bit to fill the voids the best you can. It's also a little bit more, again, difficult this season because you're dealing with a lot of the COVID protocols. Oh, there it is. So how do we get these guys in? How do we get them tested? Blah, 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 blah. So it's not a rebuild. Look at all this talent that I've accumulated. Look at Justin Jefferson. Look at Irv Smith. And then he plays the COVID card, even though every single team has had to deal with that. Okay. Okay, sure. And also, he points out the 15-man draft class, the most in NFL history in the 7th-round draft. Actually, it might be the most in history, even when it was like 9 and 12 rounds. But I digress there. So he's clearly, covering his butt in that spot. And then also, Spielman was asked about fans potentially being overreactionary, so he sort of chastised all of us jamokes. So he said this quote, "That's kind of the world we live in right now. Instant gratification, but sometimes, like I said, you have to balance that out, both the short and long-term goals and the thing that you're excited as you see some of these young guys continue to develop and emerge. They're going to just get better, and more they get, the more they get adjusted to the NFL. I think one of the things that you look at too, it's probably the toughest position to get adjusted, is the corner position. Oh, so it's not that Cameron Dantzler is bad. It's not that Jeff Gladney is hot and cold. It's not that Harrison had actually looked pretty good. But it's not because I picked bad guys. It's just that they're young. To a degree, I agree with them. How many were playing with a lot of very young corners, but how many young corners that were drafted this year, how many of them are actually excelling? Well, A.J. Terrell looked pretty good against your guys for the Falcons on Sunday, as well as, Jalen Johnson, the pride of Utah, guy's looking like one of the best cornerbacks in the league for the Bears. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, but he had a labrum. Anyways, it's a whole different ballgame, blah, blah, blah. They're encouraging to see them play, see them get better every week, blah, 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 blah. So Spielman is going into full spin mode, the whole, well, we're not giving up on the season. Look at all these young guys that I've recurred. And I do agree with them to a degree. I mean, because the Vikings are going to be super young, but also they were, like we said, they've been half pregnant this year, where they have all these young players coming in. You have to give time for those young players to develop. And it was so contradictory because of the extension of Kirk Cousins. Like, if he is the guy, if this is win now mode, then why do you let go of all your veterans to help pay him, by the way, and then bring in all these young players and then temper expectations, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, so what are we supposed to do? Like, this is not a team that's all in. This is not a team that is in for a rebuild. What is it? What is this Frankenstein's monster right now? So I think that's where most fans are right now, is that they see the Kirk Cousins extension. It was a massive mistake. I mean, the first contract, I give him a pass on that. I give him a mulligan. It's like, okay, you tried something different. You thought you were a step away in 2017. Kirk Cousins, I get, with the unhealthy Teddy Bridgewater, as well as you don't know if Case Keenum could repeat that, especially without Pat Shurmur. I get that. Giving a guy a 3-year fully guaranteed contract, precedent-setting, record-setting free agent contract, I get that was the safe move, but then doubling down on it with the extension, as opposed to just eating the cap, and then saying that, well, this allowed Michael Pierce and Dalvin Cook. Like, you couldn't have got that done without it, please. But you see all these veterans, fan favorites, moving on. The Lindvalls, Xavier's actually playing extremely well with the Colts right now. Everson Griffin still had something left in the tank. We just don't get it. We just don't get it. And I respect the Yannick trade when it happened. I respect just trying to claw back as much value as he possibly can afterwards. If he's not going to be part of the future, Daniil's going to be back and ready to go. I do have a lot of hope for these young guys as well, but I don't know. Like, what are you right now? Are you trying to win for now? Are you trying to go 8-8 this season? Which, okay, sure. Or are you building for the future? And if you are truly building for the future, you have to pay the stupid tax. You have to take your medicine. You have to cut Kirk Cousins. You have to eat that $41 million in dead cap. That's what you just have to do, no matter how you spin it. There you go. So your thoughts on our thoughts, Rick Spielman press conference, let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. We'll support that work. Pull some of the Venmo. But till next time, Skull, production value.